going on, everybody? I hope everybody's having a good hump day. That's what they call it. How many people are getting tired of seeing the hump day camel? That is, your friends send it as a joke, and it's kind of funny, but then it's like you just kind of get over it. It's like, why are you doing this? I would rather have you send me a picture, shoot me a bird or something. I mean, it'd be a whole lot much more fun. But anyway, we're going to have a little bit of fun because this young man started out early, and like everything else called life, things happened, and I believe he had to take a little bit of a break, and now he's back on his feet and he's kicking everything as hard as he can, and dude has got some awesome music coming out. So everybody give it up for Ansel Brown. What's up, Ansel?
Hey, man, it's good to be here, David. I'm proud to be on your show. That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate you. It's a weird thing sometimes. I mean, it's just, you never know what's going to go on around here.
I kind of like that, though. It's better than a scripted, hey, ask these 5 questions and get these 5 answers. And so I much prefer your direction on this. And as a CMA member, I'm glad you're showing off CMA.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, man.
Definitely. Well, I mean, we were at CMA Fest this year, and I think we did almost 70 interviews.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome.
In 4 days.
That's awesome, man.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I've been a member for a long time now, and I never, even though I got out of music for a good amount of time, I stuck to my membership, and now I'm back. So hopefully next year we'll have a reason to be at CMA Fest.
Dude, I think it would be awesome as all get out. You playing a stage down there, or
oh, hell yeah,
something. I mean, just a lot of people are really loving the playing on the stages and the meet and greet and all the stuff that they've got. It's just, it floored me at how many artists were there this year and how many people were there. I was like, oh my God.
Well, they're really opening it up for independent acts to come and get on, stage opportunities. So they're doing a good job at, starting to allow those artists that aren't on the major labels, for instance, to like get a chance to show off what they've got and get on these stages. May not be the main stage, but man, if you can get on a stage in Nashville during CMA Fest, it's a win.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one thing that I've really been really watching, and I'm really thankful for CMA doing it with CMA Fest and everything else, because back in the day, if you didn't have a label signed off on your butt, you really didn't have a chance.
Yep.
But nowadays, with all the social media and your friends and everything else, man, independent artists can do a lot.
Yep. Yeah, radio is still a challenge, but other than that, man, CMA Fest is doing some good work to give those that aren't on the majors a chance to shine. Yeah. And back in the day, I used to do the autograph room, and I'd always be like Vault Cola's guy. And I was Artist of the Month during CMA Fest one year, and it was a blast because I wasn't on a major label, but I was feeling like I was on a major label because I had the big brand, I had the autographs, I had the attention, I had the loudspeaker going, "Hey, Ansel Brown, Artist of the Month, CMA Artist of the Month, is signing autographs now at whatever." And I've got a video of that actually. It's pretty fun. But I love what they're doing now, because it's the getting on the stages that's important, man.
Oh
I
yeah,
can't say that enough.
Yeah, it's the only bad part was last year I actually made it downstairs and seen a couple of artists on stage, but this year we were so busy. Dude, I couldn't.
I had 70 interviews, right?
Yeah.
70 interviews. Yeah, I guess you were busy.
Well, I mean, most people are, you get like 10 minutes or something like that,
Yeah.
But the whole daggum time, I mean, we were getting like 15 minutes and 30 minutes out of these people. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it, man. I was
awesome,
just,
man, some substance, right?
Substance.
Yeah.
Well, the weird part was on day 2, um, I was doing interviews and stuff, and then I looked up, and yeah, I'm used to doing podcasts in my house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So down there, I'm thinking, I'm not really noticing a lot of stuff. But then I got to looking out, and there was like, I don't know where the chairs come from. I have no freaking clue. But there was like 20 people sitting outside of my booth watching me do shows.
Oh, that's cool.
And
And they were just country music fans, right?
they were just hanging out. But I mean, it was, up there, it was like PR people and other podcasts and people that came in with them and stuff like that, and it was just like, wow.
That's awesome, man. That's cool.
It blew me away, man. I was just, holy crap, And then, you ever get tongue tied when you're talking to somebody?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
that happens.
I didn't have a problem with anybody down there, and Shayna G come on,
And you were
and I died, and I couldn't talk. I mean, it was just, she has got an air about her, and just the way she walks and everything about her. It was just like, dude, I lost what I was talking about.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's
hilarious.
Yeah. And it hits you and you're like, oh, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna tell her?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I know she rolled her eyes at least once. She had to have.
Oh, that's funny, man.
But I mean, it's just, it's, a long time in the music industry and everything else, things that I've seen and all the stuff, and the things that she's battled to get where she's at. And then, Jordan, her too, she was on the show.
Okay.
And all the things that she's battled, and she's trying to do it by being an independent artist, and I'm just like, I salute you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just,
oh yeah. I need to get introductions so I need to collaborate with some of these people. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do collaborations. That's one of the things that I want to focus on this go round.
So are you still wanting to do just the solo vocals and stuff, or are you wanting to get like a duo going on? Or
no, I'm still going to be a solo artist, but I want to collaborate. Like, for instance, I'm working with a hip hop artist in Charlotte named Von Bars, and we're coming out with a song this summer called Queen City Rodeo. So in that case, I do the hook line, so I sing throughout the song the hook,
right,
and then he's doing the hip hop, and it's just, to me, it's fun to kind of get into other people's worlds.
Yeah.
And it's I've never done a real duet with a female country artist. I would love to make that happen this time. I'd love to work with a rock artist. So it's the different, I was working with a violinist out of Switzerland named Nordana, and we were trying to put together something for NASA, and she's just this phenomenal new age violinist.
Right.
And I wanted to do some of my songs with her. That hasn't happened yet, but we're working on it. And it's just one of those things where, you can get stuck in your own sphere of influence and fandom and everything else. And I'd rather like be branching out, because, country artists, country music is, more widespread than ever.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can't develop fans and people that support you, that listen generally to other types of music. So one of my new A-Team members, I met at I was down in Cornelius, North Carolina, meeting with the mayor about these events next year. And this lady named Jay, I think her name was Jazz. She like, I was like, you're a country fan. She's like, hell yeah. She was like, she's like, I want to be on your A-Team. I'm gonna be your biggest supporter. And just because she heard I was doing the country music thing and we were talking to the town about headlining something, she was all in. She was the coolest person I met in the last few weeks. I think even at the show I did for the town of Mooresville for Ray City Festival,
yeah,
like, she was just like like you could tell she was what should be an A-team member.
Right.
That's what she was, because the A-teamers, they're important. They get under NDAs with me. They are going to know, they know everything about me before anybody else does. And when I come to their town, they are automatically credentialed with VIP all access, no matter what.
There you go.
And as long as they're A-team members, that's their right. And then they'll get surprises along the way. But that's how I treat my A-team members. They're a part of the team.
Sweet.
And
I love that.
yeah, it's kind of how I did it the first time I built these street teams, and I had, street team leaders, and just very loyal, very good to me. And they were the ones that were in the streets of Texas and the streets of Oklahoma and the streets of Nashville, wherever, making noise about me.
Yeah.
And this time I'm like, you know what? I want those people to be the people that make up the A team, because they're the leaders. They're the ones that are going to get out there and get other people involved. And,
Oh, yeah.
Well, in today's world, you got to have, I've been out of social, I've been out of music for 11 years, man. It's a different landscape. But one thing is the same. You still got to find people to connect with.
Oh yeah. And that's something else that I've told a lot of people, because everybody thinks it's like a business term, but I find it more to be like a people term. Networking. Get out there, talk to people, pass the information along. It's like, because back in the day when we was in high school, well, I was in high school, we were cruising Rivergate Mall, and we bunch of friends would get together and, dude, what are you listening to? Oh man, this is a brand new Judas Priest just come out. Where did they go the very next day? They went and bought a freaking Judas Priest. This wasn't social media or anything. It was that word of mouth.
Yep. And we were good at it too. Back in the day, that's what it was like. You had your CD, you were waiting for it to come out. And now, like I heard somebody explain it now. It's like the single is everything, right? The one song is everything, because, and you shouldn't just like put one song out after another, because you got to give a song time to breathe, like wine, right? And the guy explained it. He's like, it used to be you buy a whole CD to listen to one favorite song.
Yeah.
Now it's like, no, I can listen to my favorite song over and over and over on any streaming platform, and then I'm more likely to go, hey, I want to check out that other song that just came out. Yeah. So it's a little, it's interesting, because it's kind of a cool thing that people don't have to do that, but I do miss like the experience of signing and getting people a full CD, and you get to tell a little story on the CD packaging, and I kind of miss that a little bit. But people still do have CD players,
Yeah,
they do. I don't know if you know that, but they do. They do still have CD players.
My car didn't even come with a CD player.
I know.
And
but if you're like me and you got a car that's like from 2013,
yeah,
it's got a CD player.
But
there's lots of me's around.
Well, see, I was in that generation that was, you stood outside Cat's records and tapes, and you waited for the album to hit the shelf.
Oh, I love that though, man. Was that not the coolest?
Dude, we would have people standing in line, just hanging out, and cutting up, and as soon as they opened, we were rushing in, and everybody was looking for that album, and I had Eugene Shepard on, and me and him was talking about it, because I'm that guy that would buy that 45 record. Now the main song that everybody wanted to listen to would be on one side.
Yeah. Yep.
But I was the guy that wanted to hear the B side. Because 9 times out of 10, it was just as good.
That's awesome, man. That's the one thing that I think, even from my absence in music, that little change, where when I was in it last time, there were, people wanted CDs.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing that when I got back into this, I was like, it's so different now because of that, because you don't have the expectation of the release.
Yeah.
It's more like you got to build up the release for that single. And, everybody gets to stream, pretty much either for free or they have a subscription service,
Yeah.
and they can listen to whatever they want. So now your one song is up against how many millions of songs.
Yeah.
So it's shows like you that give us a chance to stand out enough, because there's enough listeners for everybody to have people supporting their music.
Well,
And it's people
you
like
did.
you that make it possible for us to reach people that would never know about us.
Well, I appreciate that, because my whole goal with the show is very simple. I'm one of those guys. I feel like every song that was ever wrote needs to be heard, because I've run across so many people that, screw it, they get took advantage of and all that other crap, and they go back home and they give up music altogether. There's a hit in that 50 songs that's in the back of their closet.
Yeah.
And that was one thing, because when they were telling me a little bit about you and I was reading on you and stuff, I was like, I wonder how many songs he's wrote on that downtime that is just sitting there, just
I'm
begging.
I'm the all-time, three verses, and I need to make it 2 verses. And then the chorus isn't worked out yet, or I'm the guy that does the chorus, and I create a chorus, but I can't figure out the verses. So I always have to have a co-writer.
Yeah.
But I get really good melodies and I get really good ideas, and I start them, and then I find a co-writer that I can sit down with and go, okay, this is kind of what my vision is for it. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't, and the song just sits there.
Oh, yeah.
I have one song on this album called Buttermilk Creek that I wrote driving back and forth to Nashville back when I was doing my first album. And I passed a exit sign that said Buttermilk Creek. So it's a real exit or place off of I-40 west going from Charlotte to Nashville. And that name Buttermilk Creek just kept staying in my mind. And I wrote like a verse and a chorus, and it just sat there for, man, like 15 years or something like that. And then in 2021, I started recording again, and the producer I started out with, Brent Bowers, became a co-writer, and I did get that one a lot further though. I ended up getting it pretty much done, except for how I was going to transition into the bridge, and then a couple of lines that needed to be tweaked. And he provided that, and we finished it, and it's on this album. But man, that song took me, that long to get onto a recording.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and a lot of people don't understand that, because they just hear the song as it is right now.
Yep.
But the whole creating process of it and everything else, because I know songwriters that have got, like, they would pull an old song out and would play it or listen to it or whatever they're doing, and then end up rewriting the whole freaking song, and I'm just like, did you keep anything from the original? Well, I just had a really good riff with it, and I'm like,
hey, people grow and change, and songs grow and change.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's songwriting's fun, but you know what? I'm the type of guy, I like to write songs, and I love that I can write songs, but man, there are so many amazing songwriters in this world. It's like, so every time I do an album, I always push my own stuff a lot of times to the side, because I find, 4 or 5 songs that I really got to do.
Yeah.
And I believe in my heart of hearts that the people, think of all the writers that can't or won't go out and start trying to do a music career, because it's a hardcore lesson to go through when you become a music artist.
Yeah.
And you put yourself out there. You're a writer, you're writing it, and you're hoping somebody finds it. And it's like, that we've gone through a phase where a lot of artists are trying to just write everything that they do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. Like, I'm not saying they're not amazing songs. I'm just saying, think about all the writers that bleed and sweat trying to write amazing songs, and they work at it and they work at it and they work at it. And then it's like, hey, we all just want to do our own songs. I'm like, no, man, let's support these writers, because I'm telling you what, man, the 4 songs that I found last that I did not write are all for my lead off singles.
Awesome. I
So
love
not
that.
the songs that I wrote, even though I feel like my songs could be lead off singles. I really felt connected to these 4 particular songs that other writers did, like Liz Hengber and Rob Crosby and Jesse LaBelle and Ian
Mhm.
Flanagan, who's an amazing talent himself. And it's like, man, there's just so many good songs out there. Like, people, you do not, I'm sorry, if you're not a songwriter and you can sing, there is no way you're not going to be able to find songs that are good.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
find, you just got to know what works for you. And
Well,
sometimes that's hard for an artist to truly know.
well, I mean, the big part is, I think for a lot of artists, is finding them, because a lot of songwriters will write, but they're not putting it out where they
Right.
can actually be seen.
Yeah. You have
Uh,
to start somewhere. And sometimes things like the NSAI, which is a songwriting organization that
mhm.
supports independent songwriters. You have to, sometimes you got to start in those groups and find people that are willing to, if you're not a known artist, it is
Yeah,
harder to get, hit writers to allow you to use their songs.
yeah,
And if you've got a background or you got a track record or you got buzz, it's easier to get those songs. And in my case, I've been blessed because my producer is respected by everybody. And, he asks and they usually say yes.
yeah.
And now he's telling them about who I am as an artist, or they may have heard about me. But you're right, it is harder to get the top tier songs
Yeah.
unless you're on a major label or you've been on radio or you've had some success. But you can definitely end up hooking, or I shouldn't say that way. You could definitely get to that level if you happen to be somebody that works with a writer that does become.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're working with those younger writers or the writers that are not as established, and they start hitting it off, or your song that you used or that you created from their song, you become, hit, and then they become a hit writer,
Mhm.
then you're set, because you're gonna be with, that circle. But you got to try.
Yeah.
So if you can't write, your own songs, and you want to find good ones, join organizations like the NSAI. I think I'm saying Nashville Songwriters, something, something.
Association
Yeah.
International.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Association International. Yep. And in fact, that's where I first started doing my writing. I joined them when I first started writing songs,
Right.
and I enjoyed it. I had lots of people pitching songs to me. And I just, like, that's what I would suggest that people do, is just go out and join these organizations. Try to write songs yourself too, but
Mhm.
always look for other songs that you didn't happen to write.
Well, one of the other things that, I've seen several people do this. And I think a lot of other people are not doing it. And, just because you can write the songs, a lot of those people think that they can't sing. Well, here's the thing: Bob Dylan couldn't really sing either.
I mean, think about it. Bob Dylan, who's Tom Petty, those guys, like, if they were trying, like, to just go out and win people over, they may struggle, but because they're such talented songwriters,
Hmm.
they become, their style of singing becomes its own thing. And
Yeah.
really, like, I kind of wish I had that. I mean, I feel like my voice is not as memorable as that, I guess I would say. I always feel like I have imposter syndrome because I don't play guitar and I don't sound like Bob Dylan or Tom Petty, because I can't sing like that. I try to sing like, but I cannot sing like that. And
You,
then you're thinking about it, you're like, if I just sang like that, I think people would kind of laugh at me.
Well, you tried
but
the
they're
harmonica?
famous.
Do the harmonica rig and see if you can do that.
Yeah, I know, and I am starting to play the harmonica.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I am starting to do that. But I think a lot of people have, even great guitarists and great singers have
Mhm.
imposter syndrome, and it's just something now I don't care now. But when I was first in Nashville, my producer, the first thing that he told me, because I was like, I got to learn guitar, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm a country singer, and he was like, no. He was like, you keep doing what you do, which is connecting with the audience. That
Mhm.
guitar is something that you're going to hide behind.
Yeah.
And he was like, there are so many freaking good guitar players in Nashville. You should never want to touch a guitar because you're going to make it sound worse, even if you're a good guitar player, because the guitar players you can hire, you could never touch because they are that good. And he's like, so don't waste your time. You spend your time learning how to connect with your audience,
Yeah.
and don't use the barrier of that guitar as a way to not connect.
Yeah.
So I took that to heart. And he also told me never ever go sing in Nashville. He's like, don't, because there are waitresses and waiters that could blow you out of the water and you'll lose all your confidence. And
But
and so of course
that's true.
I'm a rebel. So I went and I performed on Broadway for a year and a half. And I did end up winning my producer over, in the sense that I was brave enough to do it and I was successful with it. And I made a lot of friends in Nashville by
Yeah.
doing it. But I can see what he's saying, because I had people coming up to me that would sing, and I'm like, I'm not going in to sing off with you.
Yeah. It's not happening.
There's so many people that are talented in that Music City, that it would intimidate. If you weren't as dumb as I am, it would probably intimidate you to like, I want to do something else now because I can't touch that. And
Well, I mean, back in the day when I was doing lights and sound and stuff in some of these clubs and everything, it was nothing for the band that was on stage. Friend of a friend. Hey, so and so's in the house tonight. Let's get her up on stage and let's give her a warm welcome and see what she's got on, and that person would get on stage and you're just like, why was the first band even on?
yeah, right.
I mean, it's like,
It's true. It's true. And so I did have imposter syndrome, and I used to feel like everybody just assumes because you're a country singer that you play guitar. So
yeah,
it's like every time I would tell somebody that I'm a country singer and they would want me to come perform, they're like, "Can you just bring your guitar?" And every time I'm like, "Okay, how do I I do play a little bit of piano, but I don't play it good enough to do it on stage. I think I would, I'm just not good at it." And so I always felt like, oh, they're going to expect me. Like, they're just like, you play guitar, right? Because you're a country singer. And I'm like, no, I write and I sing, though.
yeah, and but with all the social media and everything else, I've actually seen several people, songwriters, and they will actually get on there and, hey, there's a little song I just wrote, and start picking away and playing,
Yep.
and I got a buddy of mine, Coley Carr. That's what he does. Every week he's loading a song, and playing it on Facebook, and I'm just like,
See, that's what this new age has allowed, is, anybody with some talent can get up and build, an audience and build supporters just by being regularly on and sharing your music. And it
mm-hmm,
doesn't matter, but I don't care that I don't play guitar anymore. I have no issues when I go do a radio interview and I want to sing in the studio live. I bring a guitar player with me,
yeah,
and is completely fine. So if you're an artist and you don't play and you feel like you need to because you're a country artist, don't feel that way, because you don't. There are so many good writers, there are so many good musicians in music, that you just should never have to do that yourself. You spend your time connecting and learning how to connect with your audience.
yeah, because that's always been one of my biggest jokes, even when I was probably 16, 17 years old. If you need a guitar player, just open your front door and walk outside, and you'll find one in probably 20 minutes.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And you know, nothing, not taking anything away from instrumentalists, because I have a huge passion for people that can actually play instruments, you know, the way that they can. And I have all the respect in the world for a good musician, because like, you can find a musician, but can you find a good musician all the time that can stay in time, that can not like over you know, crowd your vocals, you know, because I'm thinking about my instrument as my voice.
Mhm.
So if I get somebody that's going to be out front with the guitar and they're going to kind of take over the show instead of the vocals, then I want to be able to talk to that instrumentalist and say, hey, let's give my vocal a little bit of space so that I'm not fighting, you know, with people hearing what I'm, you know, trying to sing. But I love good guitar players, because there's nothing better than me standing next to a good guitar player while I'm singing one of my favorite songs, and I'm actually able to really concentrate on the people that I'm looking at.
Oh yeah.
And that's my talent, the vulnerability and the, you know, the ability to connect with the people that I'm singing with.
Mhm.
That's what I feel like my superpower is. And if I were playing guitar all the time, which I listen, I do have a dream of at least doing a song or two during a show where I'm playing and starting the song.
Right.
I would love to be able to do that, and I think I will. It's just I just haven't done it yet.
Well, I mean, back in the day, Elvis didn't know how to really play an acoustic guitar. It was, you know, I think he had like what, 3 chords he learned or something like
Uh-huh.
that. You know?
Yep.
And it it amazes me, some of the artists and everything that you know, they'll play a little bit of rhythm or something like that on an acoustic, which is fine. It's totally cool. But I remember the, you know, 4-wheel driving and bonfires, and you know, this half drunk guy goes to his car and pulls out a freaking guitar, and he's like,
And you're going to say it's awesome, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, so that's the, you know, if you're a guitar player, man, that is definitely a superpower that you can pull out at any meeting, and you will have the attention of the entire place. And I love that about guitar players. And
oh yeah,
you know, I wish I could do that, but you know, I always have to say, hey, can I sing with you?
yeah.
Or
Well,
I
I mean,
sing a cappella, right?
well, I mean, that was what was wild, because I went to summer school, and my friend Coley Carr was there. He went to summer school too, because we all had this great idea. 11th grade, let's go to summer school, and we'll take 12th grade English, and we ain't got to take it, you know, in 12th
Yeah,
grade.
that's pretty.
But we would get a break, and dude, this guy had figured out a way so he could plug his guitar, an electric guitar, into his amp on his car, and he would literally sit there at his trunk with the trunk open,
Oh,
and
that's
just,
awesome.
you know, 10-minute break, and he's out there picking, you know, and doing all kinds of stuff. And that's something that I love. You know, it's just, of course, I kind of hate it too, because I cannot play guitar. But you know, you've seen those people. They pick up a guitar and you just say a song, and they start playing it.
Yeah, it's like they've got a computer that knows exactly which
Yeah.
song and what key. And yeah, I'm envious of those people. Honestly, I do not have that talent, and I would love to be an audiophile that just has all of it filed in my brain.
Yeah.
But I've never been able to be like that. I have, you know, I, but it's an amazing thing. If a kid's listening to this, or a teenager, yeah, learn the dang guitar, and you will be the lead of any party you go to if you pull
Oh
that thing
yeah.
out. And that's just the truth. And I think a lot of people know that, but
Oh yeah.
I'm very envious of good guitar players, and good piano players are two of my favorite instruments.
Well, that's something that, you know, I wish this younger generation would do some of the stuff that we used to do back in the day,
I
because
know.
there was nothing like going out and hanging out with your friends, running some trails on a 4-wheel drive, a bonfire, sitting around and drinking, Kool-Aid. Yeah, we'll say Kool-Aid. And your friends just breaking out a guitar or something, and you could pass many an hour just hanging out,
Oh my
singing some
gosh.
old Hank Williams Jr. or Leonard Skinner.
Time was so much more rewarding when you had that. Now it's like everything is like, I feel like I'm in a time, like a different timeline now, because I feel like everything is just moving so fast. And I know they say that as you get older, that time moves faster, but I really think it's moving faster for everybody.
Oh yeah,
I really do. Cause I'm having young people come up to me going, I just can't keep up with time. And I feel like it's just been, we've switched into some alternate reality where, our time is like, I swear, okay, now this is a conspiracy theory, but I swear that I was watching, I was at a swim practice for my 4-year-old,
right.
and I was watching the digital clock, and it had the seconds, and I was going 1,000, 2,000. I don't know if you used to do that when you were younger, but I used to count off seconds without a clock by doing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. I was sitting there doing that, and I swear you can't say the full 1,000 anymore.
Yeah, it's
like,
faster.
did the nuclear clock change? Is it faster now than it was?
I don't know. I mean,
that's my theory for why time is moving faster now.
Well, I think everybody's more aware of time now because
it's on our phone, on our watch, everywhere.
Yeah, because when we left, the only clock you had was what was on your radio.
Yep, and you didn't really care. You just knew you needed to be back around dinner time.
Yeah, or midnight.
Or midnight, or 10 o'clock, whatever your curfew was.
Or you were stuck in a mud hole somewhere, and you knew you had to try to find a payphone somewhere. Oh my God, there's the payphone.
What's a payphone? No.
Yeah, really.
You mean you pay to use this?
Yeah. Okay. Where's the money go in? I don't know. I mean,
where's the quarter slot? Oh man. It's crazy. Like, it really is crazy how the digital age is making it like way harder to keep up with time.
Oh yeah.
And now as an artist, we got to deal with it, 24/7. And it's interesting, but I've learned to cultivate new friends online. I'm learning slowly to do that right. And I'm getting some serious supporters, and that really helps. And I think, our job as artists now is to get people to hear you. And if you get people to hear you, you got a chance. And hopefully build something that you feel really confident about, and let it surprise people when they hear it for the first time.
Well, the other thing you got to look at too is make sure that every now and then do a Facebook Live from your phone.
Yep.
Because I see a lot of artists doing that. And like Alexandra Kay, she used to do that like morning coffee thing that, it wasn't get ready with me. It was, let's get the morning coffee going,
Let's get going together.
And then she opens a freaking coffee house. I'm like, what the heck?
That's awesome.
And it's amazing how much people actually pay attention when you think they're not.
We in TikTok and Instagram, well, especially TikTok, you have like people that will see the live and they'll stop on it because it's in their feed, but they're not in the live. They're not like the live person that's doing the live doesn't know that they're watching.
Right.
And they there's a name for that. I can't remember what it is, but it's like, they're watching through the window kind of.
Yeah.
And they're checking you out because they don't want you to see them. They don't want you to know but they're there.
Yeah.
And a lot of your viewers are doing that and you don't even know it.
Yeah. Because, well, the one thing I noticed because this is my 3rd year on the podcast, but I've noticed a change in YouTube too, because YouTube, it was all about the subscribers and it was all about this and all about that. Well, guess what? Nobody's hitting subscribe anymore. They
Are they
make
really like, do you find that they're not hitting subscribe? They're just like kind of checking you out because they watch
yeah,
it once and you show up on their feed after that because they watched your video.
yeah.
Um, Interesting. That's probably the shorts, maybe the shorts influence because people are just, you're showing up in a shorts feed.
That's
And,
possible.
but I noticed that when with my, my daughter and I have a show called Seriously Sophia on YouTube. And I noticed that for a while it was hard to get subscribers, but when I started doing shorts, suddenly I started getting subscribers.
Hmm.
But I was doing shorts every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a trick now to get YouTube algorithm to feed you to people that will subscribe. So I don't know if that's part of it or what, but I kind of got into YouTube, people that got in like before the pandemic,
Yeah.
that was the lucky time to get in
Yeah.
because during the pandemic it exploded. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I missed that. So I wasn't, I wasn't
I
doing too
totally
much.
missed it too. Cause I mean, I was just like, what the heck,
A
man?
dollar late a day. What is it? What do you say? A dollar.
$1 late, a day late and $1 short.
There you go. Day late and a dollar short. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just stopped thinking about it. But yeah, that's what I noticed. They're not hitting the subscribe part. But
Yeah.
when you go to the views or the watch hours, subscribers here, watch hours way up here. And you're just like, what the
Yeah.
heck?
Because if you're getting the watch hours, which if you're doing entertaining conversations like this, you're going to keep people watching
Mm-hmm.
and they're not going to bounce. And if you're getting that high number of watch hours, but you're seeing your subscribers are down here,
Yeah.
it just might be there might be one thing that you need to do that you haven't tried yet. And I'm not sure what that is, but there might be some way to convert them because you probably can convert those people if they're watching for that long.
You would think, but
Yeah.
somebody else told me, said, have you thought about doing something totally silly and stupid? Because it's like silly and stupid is just like
Sells.
men and everything. And I'm just like, I don't think
Hell no.
I
Hey, just watch my YouTube show with my kid and then you'll see something silly and stupid.
well, dude, my daughter showed me there was a husband and wife, and they actually started before the COVID and everything, but they had 2 sons, and the husband started to just video and all of the antics and everything else, and dude, he's like multi-millionaire now, and I'm like,
But he got in that rush before the pandemic probably too.
mm-hmm.
And like that's when some people they seriously took off.
Oh yeah,
And like there are people that I met a couple that does gag videos where they gag, like they have
yeah,
a gag reflux and they've got like 1 million subscribers almost
oh yeah,
or followers. And it's like because it's like she tries something and then and they're really cool people and they actually live near me and I'm trying to get to know them because they're very successful on especially TikTok.
yeah,
And it's just like she does these she gags and it's just something that it's an issue that she has.
yeah.
But people want to see that. And it's wild to it's just crazy to me like all the things that are out there that people will like get excited about.
Oh
And
yeah, it's that stupid clause. It's like, what the heck, because
it's entertainment. It is like I get stuck in that warp where I'm going through shorts or whatever or TikToks.
yeah,
And I'm like, I can't stop because I see one thing that really gets my attention. And then I start seeing other things like that get my attention. And then
yeah,
before you know it, it's like an hour and a half. And I'm going, oh crap, I was supposed to go to bed at 11:30 tonight because I got to get up at 5 a.m.
yeah.
or whatever. And that's what happens on those
Well, the thing
socials.
is, the thing that got me back in the day was the vines. Remember when you had different people doing the vines?
Yep. I know some people that got pretty famous on that
Yeah.
system.
It was weird. And
Yeah.
they were doing stupid crap. And I'm just like,
Yeah. But I will say I've been using TikTok Live quite a bit the last 3 weeks, and I'm actually really liking it.
yeah,
Like I said, I was not fully engaged on socials while I was out of music, I started engaging a little bit when I started recording in the studio, but I
Yeah.
was not like doing it where I'm singing. So now on Sunday nights, I'll sing on TikTok, which is Ansel Brown Music on TikTok. And on Sunday nights, I go on there and I sing. And what I'm doing is I take recordings from my band rehearsal
Right.
and I use that because that's my players. And I'm not performing all of the time right now because I literally just started. So we didn't like pre-book. I didn't know when I was going to start, but that date finally happened. And immediately I did get a couple of big bookings, but
Yeah.
I wasn't planning to have many performances this summer. So I've got to keep myself singing. I've got to keep myself, performing with my band. So
Right.
I've realized that I can do that now with good sound or decent sound on TikTok in front of the people that are supporting me. And now they're getting to hear what I'm practicing when I'm with my band. And
Oh yeah.
it's pretty cool. And I'm really I'm getting good feedback. Like I'll get people that are like, "Hey, you need to sing that with a little bit more emotion," or "Hey, you're doing that great." And it's good for me to hear that because I'm not performing, every night of the week. So it's been kind of fun. I've been enjoying it.
Yeah. And the thing that I like though, just from hearing that, is you still got fans out there from when you first started.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Well, my publicist actually gave me the final push. I said, I doubt people in Nashville even remember me. And she's like, we remember you.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Well, dude, when you
And
started, you was like on fire, man. I
yeah,
mean, you just like,
yeah, I came out
oh,
of nowhere without a label.
yeah.
And we turned Nashville upside down in our own way, and it was fun. I teamed up with a NFL star, and we started our own label, and we started going out, and we started getting attention everywhere. And before you know it, I was like getting the CMA accolades with Who Knew to Watch and debut spotlight with. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, my debut spotlight was with Jewel, was one of the debut spotlights with me.
Awesome.
Yeah, and because she had just gotten into country music when I was getting in, and then I got Artist of the Month. I didn't even know I had Artist of the Month. Nobody told me. I heard it. That video that I said I have of me signing autographs for Vault Cola for Coca-Cola.
Uh-huh.
In that video, you hear the announcer saying Artist of the CMA Artist of the Month, Ansel Brown. I did not even know I was Artist of the Month.
Total surprise.
Total surprise. And this was 15 years later that I found out.
Oh man.
I never got to put it on my one sheet.
Well, now you can.
Yeah. And we did that, like, and it was still a label world, even when I was in it. And it felt really, good when we started getting that attention, and we got it because we weren't afraid to try things. We weren't afraid to connect with people. We weren't afraid to do what I needed to do to make my inroads into whether it's NASA or World of Outlaws Racing or the veteran community and the children's hospitals and things
Yeah.
like that. You know what? It's nothing can stop you if you're the only one that can stop you. And that just means that it doesn't mean you're going to become a star. It doesn't mean that you're going to be rich and wealthy and just do whatever you want. It just means that you're the only person that can stop others from getting to like or know your music.
Oh yeah.
And if you keep doing it and you put it out there, I would say be smart about it. Don't just I know artists that just throw songs out every day. And it's like, let your songs, like, support your songs, get behind your songs
Yeah.
so that when one comes out, you're talking about it and giving it enough time to breathe, and then let your next song come out. And I
There's
think
not
that's,
enough marination. Let it
yeah,
marinate for a little
people, even in the streaming world, people don't know your song is out
bit. Mm-hmm.
because we don't have label budgets. We've got to slowly let the song build, and it takes, just because it doesn't take off right away doesn't mean it's not going to take off in 3 weeks. It just means you got to keep supporting it
Yeah.
because that's you, and you need to support that song. And I think that's the one thing that I've learned in this world. You got to let it marinate a little bit.
Oh yeah, because it's like I tell people, I can do a live, all right, have 3 people watching the live or 20 people watching the live, and people are like, "Oh man, that sucks," and I'm like, "Give it a week." And then a week later, it's like 1.5, and I'm like,
Yeah.
told you.
Yep. It's true. And it's the same thing with YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see a lot of people that are doing great podcasts and they have like 10 views, but it takes time for people. Sometimes the algorithm will push your video out
Yeah.
6 months later, and it was one that got like let's say it had 50 views total.
Mhm.
And 6 months later, you start seeing it in your YouTube studio, and you see it doing this,
Yeah.
and then it's like all of a sudden it has 7,000 views.
Yeah.
And it's like because the algorithm, something happened and the algorithm picked up on it because certain people watched it at certain times, and then it just caught fire.
Yeah.
So that's why content creators should never stop creating
Well, I
that
mean,
content.
that was my favorite question to ask artists at CMA Fest because I'm honestly curious. And I know a lot of people are really honestly curious. When you release a song and it's out there, Spotify, Apple, all these different streaming platforms, when you release that song, do you sit there and watch the views or do you just wait and check them out? Or do you just have somebody that'll tell you every now and then, And it was amazing the different answers I was getting on that because it was just, it's a crazy thing. And a lot of people don't really think about it because you can get caught up in watching those numbers. Your
The
mood.
reason, yeah, oh yeah, and it can build your anxiety too.
Yeah.
And but my thing is like I watch the analytics, but I'm looking at it from a marketing perspective. So I'm thinking, okay, I changed my canvas on Spotify. It's doing this, and I noticed a dip when I changed it. So now I'm going, okay, I'm gonna give it one more day, and if I still have that dip, I'm gonna change the canvas.
Yeah.
So it's more for me. It's more because I'm a marketing guy. I'm a by trade, I'm a creative director, a designer, a marketing guy, and I've worked with global brands, and I've I see what they're doing, and so I always kind of look at everything from my business glasses,
Yeah.
in terms of how am I attacking this? What am I doing to attack it? And then what challenges am I turning into opportunities?
Yeah.
And I try to think that way because that's how I think for my clients. And so I look at it just purely on, I don't have any expectations. I'm brand new to a lot of people. I did make noise. I did have some success. I did things that people don't know I did. There are people in Nashville to this day that don't know I did all the final space shuttle events for NASA. They don't know about that. I did it after I left Nashville. And
I didn't know that.
yeah, I wrote a song called When You Fly. I took it, sent it to the head astronaut of NASA in Houston. I got a email back like, I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year later, probably 6 months. And she was like, I'm standing here. I've let people in my office hear it. We all love this song, but we can't do anything. We can't do anything with it. So we're going to send it to the people in Washington, D.C. that handle entertainment.
Yeah.
And so she sent it off and I didn't hear anything else. But she loved it. She was like flipping over it. And 12 weeks, I was making a video in an old stagger wing airplane at an airport in Arkansas. And I went in for a break and I got a call and somebody said, it's NASA. And I was like, what? Okay, NASA. Oh, the shuttle launch is coming up this summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I took the call, took a break, and they were like, hey, we've talked to, Jimmy Buffett and we've talked to so-and-so, but we really like your song. Can you come do the final space shuttle launch? We know it's last second, but you can bring your whole family. We're going to give you VIP access. We're going to do everything we can to make you have fun while you're here. And it was the experience of a lifetime
Oh
to
yeah.
get that. And then while I'm there performing, they're like, "Hey, can you come do the final space shuttle landing? It's a closed event that only the world media and dignitaries and the astronaut of the past
Yeah.
are going to be at to attend, and we want you to do a live broadcast on country radio from the landing." So I got to go back and do the landing in the early morning and be on as a comedian that's out of Tampa. That's a big country comedian who has a morning show. I can't remember his name right now, but he's really famous. He was doing the show, and then they're like, "Hey, can you come back and do the final space shuttle farewell ceremony to the shuttle program? And we want you to uplift. We want you to speak after the administrator of NASA, and we want you to uplift the community that's getting ready to, be dispersed because the shuttle program's being closed. And then we wanted you to sing." So I was like, well, hell yeah, I'm going to do that. I like inspiring and making people think about the good in things. So yes, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And so I did all that. And then I ended up having an 8 or almost a 10-year relationship with NASA under 3 different Space Act agreements as an artist.
Wow.
And people don't know I did all that. I almost had a TV show with NASA that I got the letter of intent from Goddard Space Center to do. And at the last second, some things happened and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it was like something that people don't know I did all that. Like I have a great relationship to this day with NASA. And
I think it's cool as all get out, man. I mean, it's just,
that's because of music.
Yeah.
Because of music. That's what I mean. If you're an artist and you've got a song, man, don't stop at just releasing the song. You go out and you figure out, what does that song connect? What brand does it connect to? What type of product could it connect to? What, does it connect to the Army or the Marines, or does it connect to NASA, or does it connect, and you don't stop pushing it to those people and those organizations, because it's your song. And the only way you're going to make something happen with it is if you do something about it.
Oh, yeah.
You can't stop doing something. You got to keep doing something about it.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, it's like the world needs to hear songs, man. I mean, It's just like it's something that has been instilled from us. Back in the caveman days, they were beating rocks together and stuff. I mean, it's
why do you think people do worship music before a sermon?
Yeah,
because it brings people in. It brings them to it allows them to be open, because it's an emotional experience, and it's, music is just incredible. And it's a great way for you from a marketing perspective. It's a great way for you to open doors that would never open for you. Yeah. And I think if more people understood that, they wouldn't just be artists who are releasing songs. They would be artists who are creating something bigger than the song.
Oh yeah. That's like, have you ever got an elevator and it's just music?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would rather get in an elevator that had this week's hottest artist.
That would be amazing. Or this week's independent, top 10, or, I'm the same way, man. I really want to, if I have one goal in this round of my career, it would be to be a gate breaker and I'm going to say this is like something that I really want to happen, but I would like to be a gate breaker for independence on radio.
Oh yeah.
And it's because it's such a closed, you get the secondary markets that are willing to play. Yeah. But the corporate entities and the people that, that program music centrally, things like that. I really think we're at a tipping point where there is some room for radio to start paying attention to the rising independent artists. And I would love for something to happen. And it, I think if I put my effort into it, I can make strides in that area. And I want to try to make strides in that area.
Hey, sign me up. That's all I can say, because I am a firm believer that some of these independents and everything, you take all the brouhaha and people want to make money and all this other crap, and they just do it because they love the music and they love their fellow man and they want to create and help this person get to where they need to be. That needs to come back in music.
Yeah, agreed. It's like you mentioned Elvis. It's like General, what was his manager's name? Colonel or something like that. He was
for some reason I keep wanting to say Colonel Sanders, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
Tom Parker, Colonel
yes,
Tom Parker,
General Tom Parker or something like that. Right.
No, it was Colonel.
It was Colonel. Okay. So what did he do? He would go to radio stations, talk to radio stations about playing Elvis, and like that should still be able to happen today. Like if there was anything radio could do to compete with Spotify's of the world and social media, it would be to start like getting entrenched back in the breaking of artists on the scene and allowing them just like news, allowing them to like have a seat at the table because there's something going on with this artist that's interesting, that's different, that's unique. And oh my gosh, we helped discover that artist.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there was one of my biggest idols that I've ever had was Wolfman Jack.
Oh, I love. Yeah, I can't do his voice right now, but yes, I mean,
it was just something about him, the way he talked to people. He done all this stuff, and then throw in some Casey Kasem, the top 100 on the charts. You know, I mean, you do that every freaking weekend. You know, and it's like, what happened? I mean, I know they passed away, and you know, God rest their soul, but they created something that is no longer even there.
Yeah, it's almost like they're allowing this, you know, the streaming services there, you know, that's where we can break open in our careers is on the streaming services, streaming platforms right now. So, you know, we always need to support artists. If you like an artist, you know, support them, share their music, you know, save their music to your playlists, favorite their music and share it mostly on your socials. But what they're doing is I think because the labels really kind of control what we hear on the radio.
Yeah.
There's, and I get it. Labels they're having to keep together their ability to make revenue. So I get what they're doing, but at the same time, they're also owning artists up to almost 95% at times where, you know, we got a lot of artists that are on labels today with 5%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what
5%.
Jelly Roll actually went on another podcast and he was talking about the deal that he done. And he's like telling everybody, don't let these people do this because you get some money up front, but that's a loan, people.
Yeah. You got to pay everything back. So you spend $100,000 on a video, you got to pay that back with your royalties. And so you'll never get that royalty percentage that you're supposed to be getting as an artist and as a writer a lot of times, which is even more money. But I think the writing royalties the label doesn't necessarily always get. But, you know, the point is that because there's so much of we want to control radio, you know, that top 20, that there's a reason why they're top 20 artists.
Yeah.
And it's not just because they have great music. It's because, and nothing to take away from any of these artists, because artists are all amazing to me. But in terms of, you know, being able to get in the top 20, it takes a king's ransom almost to make that happen these days. And especially if you're an independent artist. So you got to have something happen that hasn't really happened before for an independent artist to break the top 20 and do it without the major label.
Yeah. And you know, you're not even throwing in music videos.
Right. Oh yeah.
Oh my God. The freaking money that these people spend. Look, and I can't strive this enough. There are a bunch of independent filmmakers that have no problem coming and helping you do a music video.
Oh, heck yeah. A lot of them, if you're an aspiring artist that's getting buzz, there are video filmmakers that will come in, and if they're wanting to get a bump in their own career, they will
Mm-hmm.
take a chance on you and either give you a really good deal or maybe even do it at no cost as long as they're getting the credit for it. So
Yeah.
there are ways to make those things happen. And I like, to me, it's like, what is my purpose here? Why did I come back? Why did I decide to relaunch my career now? And it's because I feel like I'm going to do something that's going to allow people to go, there's a shift for independent
Mm-hmm.
artists now that we didn't have before. I want to do that. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I feel like I'm primed and I'm ready. I feel like this sitting out and growing more mature in who I am and what I am. And that's why I call my second EP is going to be called Falling Into Place, because I
Sweet.
feel like I broke free of gravity in The Rise, which is my first EP, and
Yeah.
I'm falling into place into who I am as a person and as an artist. And to me, it's like, it's just like when I can name not just NASA. There are tons of things I could talk about that I made happen because I wasn't afraid to try to make it happen, and I didn't
Yeah.
stop trying to make it happen. But I feel like this time there's something's going to happen that people are going to go, you know what? Independents have a chance now. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's radio, but I want it to be radio. I want it to be something in radio that happens because I'm opening a door that hasn't been opened.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you kind of sound like me because when I was researching how to do podcasts and all this other stuff, when I got all my info together,
Yeah.
everybody's over in this group, and I turned right around and I looked the other way, and I went that way because I wanted to blaze my own trail. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many things that people are doing, but they all get to where they're doing the same thing.
Well, we're a copycat. We're a copycat society. We want to do the cool thing that's getting hot at the right moment and trending.
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of being an independent artist. That's the reason why you say independent, because we don't play by the same rules that everybody else does necessarily. And some of us are pure artists where the only thing that matters is I'm making music.
Exactly.
And then there are part of us that are like, no, I want to be a trailblazer, and I want people that come behind me to have an easier time finding who they can be.
Right.
And that's where I want to have my impact in that world, because to me, that's what I'm gifted at. I rebranded Baskin Robbins hard smooth and creamy hard candies back in the day as one of my first big global branding jobs that I won as an
Yeah.
independent designer. And I turned that brand into the fastest growing hard candy in the United States in 6 months. And I had M&M Mars, head of brands, come up to me at a candy trade show and say, I want you to come speak to all my brand managers, because we want to know how you took a brand that was dying, which it was. We rebranded it in 6 months, renamed the tagline, redid the graphics, and we had I was on the package was on the cover of Packaging Digest, and we became the fastest growing hard candy in the United States in 6 months.
Awesome. That is awesome.
They're used to the big, this equates to labels. The big advertising agencies would take, if you wanted to change a brand line, you're talking a year and a half, maybe 2 years to really do it.
Yeah.
And they were like, how did you do it in 6 months? How did that happen? That's one of my claims to fame, is I did that. And I did it as a freelance designer.
Yeah.
And years later, I hired a creative director at one point, and the creative director was in a major agency, and he was like, how in the hell did you do that? Like, we all submitted for that job. How did you win? Well, I made friends with the people at the company. They trusted in me. And then I lived up to what they wanted in the design, and the rest is history. And the same thing can happen in music. Just because they don't play everybody on radio doesn't mean they can't find ways to do it, and that they won't find ways to do it. Somebody just needs to open the door.
Well, that's like when I started the podcast, I was, building and doing and getting it to how I wanted it and everything else, the format and all that other stuff. But I followed all the legal things that you're supposed to do for a business and an artist business,
Yeah.
And one of the things that kind of blew me away was I'm on CMA website. and there's like no membership for me at all. It's not there. You've got radio and all these other things, but they didn't have nothing for podcast.
And this was when?
2 years ago.
Okay. See, there you go.
And I took and I had conversations with people, talked to people. They made a category and they put me in that category. And I was the first podcaster to be a CMA member.
That's awesome, man. Seriously.
And dude, I ain't gonna lie. I was at a gas station when I got the word. I could not freaking drive.
That is awesome. And I mean, see, we make our own barriers, and it's people that sit there and go, you know what? I'm not going to stand for the status quo. I'm going to try to make something happen. And they don't give up when they get told no.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Never stop when somebody tells you no. You say, I'm going harder.
Yeah. Well, see, I had all those years of taking my mama down to CMA Fest when it was at the Municipal Auditorium, and my other great aunt was Wilma Biggs, and she worked for the Opryland people and all that stuff. She's actually in history. She was one of the first people down at the Grand Ole Opry that told Elvis to his face, "You're not going to make it in this industry."
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And we teased the crap out of her about that. Yeah, that's just funny. She's like, "Well,
awesome.
That was my one mistake," and I'm just like, "Whatever, man."
That was that's a song right there.
Yeah,
my one mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I've always, when 50 people are telling you no, and they're not even giving you the time of day or anything else, to me, they're going by a structure that has been handed to them. And I want to be that guy that can find a hole and walk right through.
Yep. Yeah, we have kinship there.
Yep. I mean,
yeah, for sure. And it's exactly how I feel. And I feel like if radio doesn't accept what I'm putting out because it's not from a major label, I just want program, if you're a program director and you're listening to this, I want you to think to yourself, am I saying no because he's not with a label? Or am I saying no because I don't like the music? Or am I saying no because, I don't care about it?
Yeah.
What category are you in, and how can you make a difference in order to create something that maybe wasn't this way, for a long time, but it needs to get back this way. And you're the one person that knows that. And what can you do to influence your industry?
I just had a thought, and you're probably going to shoot me for
it. We're not being recorded.
Oh, we're recorded right now.
I'm just playing.
But no, it just hit me. You got Sirius XM, you got all these internet stuff, and you can stream it all over the world and all that other stuff.
Yep.
Start a damn channel.
It would be fun to start an XM channel. Actually, it would be really fun. I would have a lot of fun doing that, honestly.
And you got Ozzy's Boneyard, you got, the heavy metal channel, you got all these other channels, and, Willie's Place or whatever it's called, and all these things. Why not just start one that's independent music?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something that I should consider, because I feel like I could be a voice for those artists. And and I feel like somebody like you could too, because obviously you're giving us a shot at capturing new people in our audience. And I love the podcasters and the video creators that are really, really trying to put the spotlight on us. And my goal, like, I'm not even in this to for accolades. I'm in this because, one, I want my daughter to know my legacy, because she's 4. That's one thing. I want my parents to kind of see what my vision was, because it's never been that I want to be a star. It's always been, I want to break boundaries, and I
Yeah.
want to shatter glass ceilings for myself that people put on me because I'm not a guitar player, or
Yeah.
because I'm not this or that. And I really, I really, really, really want to help other artists. And it's an important part of what I want my legacy to be. And
Yeah.
if I can open doors for other artists, through my own music and through my own work, because I'm showing people what is possible if you don't stop and you keep
Mhm.
moving forward and you connect the dots for yourself. I want to be the guy that helps other artists see that.
Yeah.
And because I really feel like it could be a new world, and radio should be a part of that. Like, I hate seeing that radio is just a programmed thing.
Yeah.
I want radio to get back some of its, like, I listen to sports talk today. I like listening to sports talk, and it's great to be able to sit in my car and listen to sports talk when I'm driving around town. I don't
Mhm.
know if everybody feels that way, but that feels like yesterday some to me, in terms of I'm connecting with a couple of sports talk, people that I like disagreeing with or agreeing with as they talk. And the same thing should happen with people playing music. It's
Yeah.
like, I love that artist, or maybe that artist isn't for me, but at least I get to listen and figure out what artists are coming out that aren't on major labels.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not start that again? I mean, I think we have great DJs in country music, great
Mhm.
DJs. Like, some of the funniest in the world are in country music in the mornings, or in
Yeah.
the afternoon drive, or over lunchtime, whatever, or at night. But some of the best personalities, why are you keeping people like me, or people like, my producer Brent Bowers? Why are you keeping us from your conversations? Because I guarantee you, we'll give you some material,
Well,
and
I
it'll be
that's
fun material.
that's one reason why, because all my life I've had people saying, you need to be a radio DJ, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm just like, yeah. But the real reason I never did was because I knew I would get fired,
Right.
because you're giving me a list, or you're programming all this music and everything else. And
And I'm gonna break the rules.
I've done heard this song like 5 times, and it ain't that good. But this independent artist is like kicking butt. Why can't I put them on? What's up with that?
Yeah. In fact, my radio promoter, I've got radio promoters in Nashville they're awesome, and they're going to be working, the Whiskey Makes Her Miss Me to radio across the country.
Mhm.
And we were talking about one of the radio stations in Idaho. I'm not going to say any names, but it was in Idaho, and our radio promoter said, "Well, we're not going to call them." And my PA, my personal assistant, who's been with me since the beginning, she's the person that knows me best in music. And she was like, she's like, "Why in the hell are you not going to call this radio station?" And he's like, "Well, they're centrally programmed. They
Yeah.
can't play it." Like, that freaking pisses me off, that
Mhm.
there are stations that are doing, like, it's the big corporate entity. I love that you're powerful in music, but man, if you're centrally programmed, you should have a list every week from every station that you own that says, "Hey, have you heard this, this, and this? Because
Yeah.
this independent artist is making noise. You need to consider, airtime for this artist." Like, it needs to at least be that, because I get that you want to centrally program and control it, but I'm sorry, and I don't care if there's payola or not. If you've got artists out there that can win over an audience for your radio station, why in the hell would you not play them?
Exactly.
That's
That
what I feel.
that's my
But
whole thought process, because dude, I remember back in the day, the DJs, and they literally put the freaking
yeah,
record down, and two turntables, and it was
yeah,
just I actually hung out. We had a guy down here that was a radio DJ, and I hung out with his son a lot. So I kind of got like a inside view on some stuff that they did in the radio stations. And that was one of my biggest questions was, do you get a list of what you're supposed to play? And he was very adamant about, yeah, they give me this BS list. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
how much do you play?
I don't think the radio station personnel, the people that are working at the station on air, I don't I don't think that, obviously it's not them. It's just the rules.
Yeah.
And it just like it needs to start at the top, and people at the top need to go, you know what, we need to make some room because I'm sorry, but online is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Hmm.
And radio stations need to stay up with their regional artists that are making noise in their neighborhoods, and people are listening to them on Spotify, and they need to go, hey, let's give these artists a shot, even if it's like 1 hour a day to start,
Oh, yeah.
whatever it is. And they need to give their radio station personnel the opportunity to discover that music
Yeah.
and then put it on. But like, I don't know everything, and I don't know, why the rules are the way they are, but I know that I want to break them. That's it.
Yeah. Because rules were made for
To be
breaking.
broken. That's right. And you know what? If I have to do it with a brand relationship, or if I have to do it through, helping major children's organization, or if I have to do it somehow where I'm going to get on that radio station, they're going to spin my song, I'm going to do that because I know that I can. I know that I can do something to get
Hmm.
their attention. And
Yeah.
that's what it's going to take. And if that's working with a major brand who's like, hey, we're going to be working with this station, this station, this station, I guarantee you if they're advertising on there, I'm going to get some airtime.
Oh, yeah.
And why not start giving me more airtime? Because if people like the song, why wouldn't you play it? Why
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't you play it?
Well, I mean, I've got a bigger design for my podcast and everything that I'm wanting to do. And there's going to be some opportunities to where you're going to hear some live
Oh,
full
good.
bands.
This
And
will be when you move.
I'm hoping
Okay. Okay. Well,
because
man, I'm hoping for you then. That would be awesome, man.
yeah, because I think it's something that needs to be done because, like, if I get you in the studio, bring your guitar player,
Yep.
you can sit at the table and sing a couple of songs, or we can put two chairs
Heck
up
yeah.
and a microphone, and
Heck yeah.
I've even done some songs from the couch is what I call it. And I'll have 3 or 4 doing like a writer's round sitting on the couch. I mean, it's cool stuff. And I think a lot of it needs to be done because why? Yes, every song should be heard.
Yeah. And we need to make some t-shirts that say that. Yeah, like to me, it's like there are good media people. There are really good media
Hmm.
people, and some of my best experiences have been people that are on media, like Beth Troutman and Bo Thompson in Charlotte. They're on a major market station here. They are Beth is one of the biggest supporters that I have. She used to have me on TV on Fox in the morning in Charlotte before my first career when it was first starting. And I
Yeah.
was on TV a lot in Charlotte for that. She was the one that made that happen. And all the way up to today, how many ever years later, she was the first person to put me on a station in Charlotte when she knew I was making my comeback. And
Awesome.
so there are wonderful people that I know, the personnel at these stations, they love this stuff.
Oh,
They
yeah.
love artists that are doing what everybody says they're not allowed to do. They love artists that are making good music when it's not just a major label making good music. And they love artists that are doing it themselves.
Hmm.
And we just got to find all those people and get them to help us rise up to the bureaucracy of the radio world, and just hope that the big guys upstairs are like, hey, we got to make some room.
Yeah.
We got to make some room.
Because, everybody needs to stop and think back in the day. How in the hell do you think outlaw country started?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because everybody was tired of the norm and the
Yep.
crap, and they
Yep.
did it their way.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, the good thing about radio, and I will say this to the day I die, versus, and this can be the same with online radio too, but the difference with radio is the personalities that supply you the music.
Mm.
Because if you have a narrative that a great DJ is talking about for an artist that nobody knows about, and you make that intro, it's different than listening to it on Spotify.
Yeah.
It is, because you're the narrator on Spotify. You have to make your own choices on Spotify. Nobody's feeding you information that you don't know about. Whereas the radio people, the people that are behind the microphones online and in the stations, they're the ones that can actually introduce an artist the right way to the public.
Oh God, I
And
loved it.
there's a value to that that's immense.
Yeah.
So I get why the labels want it all, but it's like, you know what? There's room for everybody.
Oh yeah. And, and that's something I liked, back in the day when I was hanging out with my friend. His dad was actually Coyote McLeod. And he had a way of, you could call him and whatever happened to the request line? That's what I would like to know.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And, he would take a phone request and he'd play that segment on the air where he was talking to the person and they were wanting to hear that song, and so, and just for Megan, we're playing this for her boyfriend, and
I will say that there are still a lot of independent radio stations in the United States that will do that.
Yeah.
There are. There's one, a couple in my town in North Carolina that will play my music, when I've got a new song coming out. So there are radio stations that do that. So I don't want it to sound like every radio station is like that. It's mostly the ones that I said were centrally programmed, and they're not independently making those choices at the play level in those towns where the radio station has their stations. So that's the meat of the major markets are like that. And
that's when those radio stations, there's like 5 or 6 in the conglomerate and they're owned by one little thing, and that one little thing controls it all.
Yep. And I've got friends in radio that are like, hey, I really want to play your stuff, but I can't.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's because they knew me from the first time, and they played my music the first time through. And it's like, why do I have to be in a club to get heard in Charlotte, North Carolina? Why do I have to be in the club? Why can't I do this? Because I've put my heart and soul into this, and I want people to learn about me in a way that's going to benefit everybody.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, the more that I'm heard, the more good I'm going to do in this world. And that's a fact. The more help to veterans that I'm going to bring, the more help to children in Children's Hospital I'm going to bring, the more people know about my music, the more impact we can all have on the world. And that's not just me. There's a ton of artists like that.
Oh yeah.
And because they all have things that they care about. And so it's like, that's what we got. It's going to be, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to do something that people are going to go, okay, here goes Ansel again.
Yeah. Here he comes. Look out, y'all. Hey, next year, you ought to get with T.G. Shepherd and Katie Lang and do that Country for a Cause. Helps out Vanderbilt Hospital.
I would love to get involved with them. Anything, Children's Hospital, if you look at in fact, there's a song called One Wish that I wrote about a little girl that made a wish that changed a lot of lives. And that song, there's a video called One Wish. Just look up Ansel Brown, One Wish on YouTube and watch the video of my work with kids in hospitals. And like, I can't tell you how many miracles I witnessed. When I say miracles, I just mean things, obviously I'm a believer, but things happened that nobody could really figure out. And there's a girl in that video that was one of the miracles, because I went in there and the nurses were all like, okay, Ansel, don't get your feelings hurt, but she's not going to smile. She's not going to talk. She's in too much pain. You're just not going to get any like response from her. You're going to sing and just understand that. Yeah. So I went in there and you see her. It's a little black girl that she's smiling ear to ear. And I'm not joking. when you watch that video, as soon as I get up after that video gets cut off, from that point, because we're just showing that part. But as soon as I walked out, I'm not joking, there was a whole line of nurses and doctors in the hallway, and every one of them were in tears.
Wow.
It was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. And it was that little girl, I sang Waikiki Cowboy to her, and she was just like, she didn't feel pain. She was just like, I'm getting a lump in my throat right now, because it's those things. That's what music does. And just think of all the people you're keeping from experiencing things, because there's an artist that just happens to be somebody that cares about what they're going through. And he just happens to be an independent artist, and nobody knows about him in your neighborhood because the radio stations aren't playing him. But it's like, I don't know, man, music is just amazing. And the more that people know about our music as independents, the more work we can do to make this world a better place.
Oh, definitely. I full-heartedly stand behind that, because I've seen a lot of things happen, and I've seen what some people would call miracles, but guess what? There was music in all of it.
Yep.
And it was awesome.
Right.
Dude, we done been talking an hour and 30 minutes. We could sit here and talk for 3 hours probably.
I mean, I like, I like having conversations. It's been a long time. I have a lot to say. And I've been through a lot. I like to say life's taken several bites out of me over the past 10 years, and I'm getting ready to bite back.
Good.
And the Whiskey Makes Her Miss Me is my first opportunity to start this rolling. And I appreciate your support and having me on here. And I hope that you'll enjoy the song, and I hope you'll share the song. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I'm gonna let my song breathe, and then when I come out with the next one, I'm gonna let it breathe, and I'm gonna let people experience me maybe for the first time, and then just watch what I have in store for the communities that I work in, and for the veterans that I hang out with. Just watch what I have in store.
I love it. I can't wait to see everything that you do this time, man.
I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania next week. They invited me to be one of the co-headliners of their annual Steel City Blast. So it'll be my first big concert. And
so you ain't even come back good yet, and you're already like co-headliner. What the?
And that's because they heard one of my independent songs, and they were like, because I was talking to a beer company, because that's what I do. I talk to brands. I talk to people, and I'm not afraid to. And that beer company heard my song, which is a working man song, and blue collar anthem. Right. And I'm talking about the next single that's coming out. And so he had it before anybody else. He went right to the city and sent it to them, and they called him right back, and they said, can we talk to this guy? So the next day I'm on the phone on a Zoom with them, and they're like, we've already been booked, for a long time, but we're making room for you. Can you come up and do our Steel City Blast as one of the headliners?
Awesome. I love that.
And so, that's going to start happening. The good thing about coming back is that I did attain certain things, and I did do things that nobody knew how I got done. Yeah. And I made those things happen. And when it's easier now when I talk to a city or I talk to a venue, because I do have a background, and I did make fans, and I did do all of the right things in terms of how I was presenting myself, with the good work that I was trying to bring to the communities I lived and worked in. And, it makes a difference, man. So that's why no matter what stage you are in your career as an artist, you should always think about how do you impact your community or the things that you love or care about. And then how does your music relate to that? And then you do what you can to make your moves in an independent world. And then if you have to get out, don't ever be afraid of taking care of yourself. Don't ever think that the world is going to end or stop because you've got to take care of your anxiety, or you've got to take care of a family situation. Your road is not done until it's done. And we all get done at some point, right?
Oh yeah.
But what I'm saying is that I felt like, I had been away for 10 years. So I almost felt like I couldn't come back because it had been so long. But what I'm realizing now is that 5 years, 6 years, 1 year, 3 years to take care of you and learn who you are, you're going to be better than you were the first time
Oh yeah.
because you have grown, you've learned who you are, you've fallen into yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll make you a better artist. So never think that it's over if you have to get out for a traumatic reason or for a health reason. And I faced all of that. I've had the trauma, I've had the health, I've had, the mental anguish that I've been through and at times. And like when I got back, I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I did it because things are just happening now. And if I didn't do it, it wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the fact that you're back and you're going to be making waves. And I hope the heck you give me a call because
Oh, I will.
me and you thinking a lot on a lot alike
Yep.
on a bunch of things,
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
this will be fun. Buddy, tell everybody where they can find you, please.
Well, the most important thing right now is the single, The Whiskey Makes Her Miss Me, where you can stream anywhere you stream music. Please favorite it. Please share it. Play it over and over because independent artists need your support. And the more you talk about it, it's free to talk about us. So talk about the song, tell your friends about the song if you like it. And you can see me over on X at Ansel Brown. You can see me on TikTok at Ansel Brown Music. You can see me on Instagram at Ansel Brown. And you can see me on Facebook at Ansel Brown Fans. And I'm pretty active right now. And I try to get to know everybody that connects with me. And you can ask my PA. I never, ever forget those that support me, ever. And that goes all the way back to the very beginning. And I still send those people their happy birthdays and I still try to talk to them as much as I can. And they mean just as much as they did yesterday. In fact, one of the people that supported me as a street team leader, dedicating a song called Where I Want to Be, which is about trucking life. And I'm dedicating that song to her. I'm dedicating that song to her husband who passed away. And she was one of my big, sorry, I'm losing it a little bit.
You're fine.
She's one of my big supporters. And he was too, even though, my relationship was mostly through her. He's gone from this earth. But I'm dedicating that song to her husband and her. And cause it's really, that's the kind of thing, man. Like I'm not out to just try to make people believe I'm their friends. My problem is I want to be friends with everybody that I meet.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. When I say staying true, I sign everything staying true. That's what I live by.
And I love that because besides doing lights and sound for 40 some odd years on the weekends and everything else, my main gig was driving a truck.
Oh, see, you're going to like this song, man. I need to get you a preview of it.
Yeah, I would love to hear it because that's a big thing, and truck driving is the unsung heroes, man.
Yeah. And like, I wasn't a truck driver, but I used to have to drive like every 2 weeks, about 15 hours for 3 years. And so I was thinking, the whole time, this is when I wrote the song, because I was like looking at the truckers that were doing this for a living.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what happens when something happens to your kid or your wife and you're 15 hours away, or you're facing something, personal, and you're like on the road by yourself, what happens like when you get home? What is the first thing you do? And, it was like, it's like Where I Want to Be is right next to you.
Yeah.
And, I know it's just, whether it's a child or your wife or whoever. And so that's what inspired me to write the song, was looking at the truckers that were on the road every time that I would drive. And I was like, man, just like, I can't imagine being away from the one that I love, that I just want to be near all the time. And then I have to go all the way across country and all the way back. And it's like,
rough.
how do they deal with that, man? It's got to be almost, it's got to drive you crazy.
Well, I can tell you more than one load has been left at a truck stop while somebody bobtailed home.
See, I didn't know that. That's cool to understand. Like,
Yeah.
that just takes it to a different level also to me. Like, I could write a song about that. that's that's um that's the way I would like, that's what this song is kind of about.
Yeah.
Is kind of doing that. Like that person has to get home to the one that they want to be near.
Oh yeah.
And so like, yeah, but that just came from my personal experience driving and watching these truckers, man. That's why I wrote it.
It's pretty awesome. I love it. All right, brother, we're going to get off here.
Well, I appreciate you spending so much time with me, man.
Dude, Christy's probably going to be chewing me out tomorrow because I was on here for so long.
Oh man, but I really appreciate you, and I do. I thank you for all that you're doing for guys like me, and just like, I can't thank you enough. And hopefully I'll have a good update for you here in the next little bit, and we can get back together.
Yeah, just you're welcome back on the show anytime. Just give me a holler.
I appreciate it.
Tell Christy to call me. I mean, and hopefully we'll be in studio and you can come in with your guitar player and do a song or two.
I would absolutely do that.
I would love it. All right, brother. Tell everybody bye. We getting out of here.
Hey, thank you. And just, man, support us, support the independent artists.
Exactly. Because I will go throughout the rest of my years on this earth supporting people that believe in what they're doing.
I just want to say, hell yeah.
I'll be right there believing in it with them.
It's awesome.
I love all that stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for having us in your living rooms.
Hey, no problem. Actually, I'm sitting at the producer's desk because Caitlin isn't here because we're packing and cleaning and doing all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll just leave the producer's desk until we move. So awesome stuff.
You've been awesome to get to know. Just going to be honest.
I appreciate that. All right, everybody, we're getting out of here. Love you. Mean it. See you later, Ansel. Bye. And